Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is about the new moon in Libra. And this is happening on October 6th. And where I live in the world, which is in the Midwest, where we have Central Standard Time, it will be at 6:06 a.m. So even if you are across the pond in England and all those other European countries and all of that jazz, and probably even if you're in Australia and down under, maybe that would be on the same day as well. I don't know if there's any place on Earth where it would be on the 7th, but I don't know all places on Earth. So anyway, I was looking at this and I was thinking, oh, if only there wasn't a Mercury retrograde. And the reason I say that is because Mercury is going to be continuing its retrograde motion in Libra as well. And the reason that we always speak about this is because there is the chance of some kind of snafus occurring while you're trying to do something. So because new moons are about new beginnings, it can feel like you're going one step forward and two steps behind. But the reason I'm thinking, oh, wow, everything is so hunky-dory is because we have a lot of Mars action. And even though that can be a little bit tricky because it can lend volatility to the situation, and certainly with the insanity that is the twilight zone of daily life these days, it's not like we need, aggression to be the cherry on the Sunday, right? And I'm recording this on a Sunday, but that's a different spelling. Anyway, so we have a lot of Libra energy here, and that can be a saving grace to counter the Mars action because, as a lot of you probably know, Mars rules Libra's opposite sign, Aries. And Aries is known, the god of war is certainly self-explanatory. But Mars is also the co-ruler of Scorpio. And when you get to know the Scorpio tendencies, you can see that Mars vibe rearing its, I'm not going to say ugly head, but it's very forceful head. And, sometimes when I think of the lower nature of Scorpio and the tendency to be very vindictive, I have witnessed or heard Aries people who seem to love revenge or people getting their just desserts too. So I think there's something with that Mars energy that is like that. But certainly very aggressive. And then on the world stage, we're already seeing so many demonstrations, so much conflict, like interpersonal conflict and things like that. That in October, it just gets ratcheted up. And part of this is because Libra is a cardinal sign. And so there's like a quickening when you have a preponderance of energy with these personal planets in a cardinal sign. It's like a sense of urgency. It's like, we've got to do this. And with the Mercury retrograde, it can be misunderstandings. And so if people are acting on half understood information, they can get themselves in a world of trouble. So it's important at this time to practice restraint. And I would also say to people to look at individuals that you're dealing with. These could be complete strangers, and note their demeanor. And with Libra, it can be very warm and fuzzy. I don't know, warm, but very maybe fuzzy. very gracious, but it could be passive aggression. And people who are saying what they think other people want to hear, but they really believe something else. And so we have, like, for instance, the sun is forming a conjunction with the moon. The sun is forming a conjunction with Mercury. The moon is forming a conjunction with Mercury. And that can be also very emotional. And because the moon is engaged with Mars too, the moon is forming a conjunction with Mars. When you're emotional and you speak, it can go either way. You can either, bare your soul to someone and it's coming from this really authentic place, or you can overreact. And that's kind of the impulsive side when you're hurt. So even though we're talking about a lot of Libra energy, which tends to be detached, it's not going to be, because you have these conjunctions with the moon and Mercury, with the moon and Mars, and you might even act on your emotions. And that can be, it depends. It all depends on other factors, obviously. The interesting thing is that when you learn about aspects, how the planets cooperate with one another, whether it's transits or in your own personal chart, the conjunctions can be neutral, meaning that they, or you could even say, like, when you look at squares, that they're challenging. Now, they could have some good outcomes, even though they're challenging, but they're still considered challenging. A trine is considered very fortunate, okay? A conjunction can go either way. It depends on the two planets involved, the signs involved, and all of that stuff. So you can't just look at things on the surface. And this is not going to affect everybody in the same way. This is a general forecast for everybody. But, let's talk about relationships, because when Mercury is retrograde, you may hear from people in your past. I'm not just talking about romantic situations, any type of relationships. And it's very important that you look at your own ability to say no and to have boundaries. Libra is a sign that struggles with this, because Libra is about, Libra is ruled by Venus, and Venus is about pleasure. So if you think of the word pleasing, like pleasing others, it's the word pleasing and pleasure are connected. And it's like wanting to make other people feel good. And you don't want to do that at your own expense. And so I really feel like these situations can arise where it's almost like a test. And you hear from someone. It's not like you pursuing this person. They might be pursuing you. It might be an ex, because Libra rules the 7th house of committed partnerships. So it's, maybe it is possible that it could be somebody who you briefly dated. But either way, the point is that you have to not take things at face value, because such a person may try to worm their way back into your life. And you would have to see your personal chart to see where this is going to fall. I'm talking about your natal chart, because for some people this may show up in a different way. But if this is something to do with relationships, and any one-on-one relationships can be featured here, it's a case-by-case basis. Some people you just kind of fall away from. You're busy with your own things, and there's nothing inherently negative about your time apart. But there are some people that you did have problems, and if they come to you with that sugar-coated demeanor, and you buy into it because, I don't know, you feel flattered that they are giving you the time of day again, and you trick yourself into thinking that they've changed. It's important not to just keep the peace, but to really do some analytical self-analysis about it, because and you can, anybody, I don't think you have to be all that intuitive to read between the lines. I think anybody can do it if they actually desire to. The problem is a lot of people want to live in a fantasy because they're looking for somebody to love them. And this can come out in a very big way at this time of the new moon, because there's a lot going on. And because of Mars, it can be very, what's the word? Like I said, a sense of urgency and immediacy. It's interesting, too. I noticed that there's an exact conjunction between the Sun, Moon, and Mars at 13 degrees of Libra. The number 13, I believe, is the number of the divine feminine. And, I'm sure there are some feminists in the crowd that would say, well, that's why they made it an unlucky number. And yeah, I mean, maybe there were, somebody would say, down with the patriarchy. But I'm not saying that myself. I'm just telling you that I've read that. I read somewhere about the number 13, and how it just has this bad rap. And even though there's not, let me see, I don't think with Taurus, well, it's an inconjunction. Uranus is 13 degrees of Taurus. And at the time of this, Uranus is retrograde. Oh, yeah, that's another thing to keep in mind, too. Because we have, I'm looking at all these planets, and the vast majority of them are retrograde. Okay, we have Mercury retrograde, we have Jupiter retrograde, Aquarius retrograde, Uranus retrograde, and these are all in fixed signs of Aquarius and Taurus. Neptune is retrograde. Pluto is retrograde. And even Chiron is retrograde, although, that's not this. I think Chiron kind of goes in and out like that, like the North Node. But October is the time when 4 planets are going direct. Okay, so, and it's starting not too long after the new moon. I think Pluto is the first one to go direct on the 10th. Or no, is it Saturn? I don't have that part of it. I guess I could look, but the point is, let's see here. Okay, so, oh, interesting. So on the same day as the Mercury retrograde, Pluto goes direct in the afternoon, my time. And this is at 24 degrees of Capricorn. And let's see here. Then Saturn goes direct on the 10th. Jupiter on the 18th, and on the same day, we have Mercury going direct. So that will feel like it's kind of like a car that turns around and starts, kind of does a U-turn. And then, it's been kind of like going back towards something that it left behind, and now it's going forward. So as we have this new moon, if you're pursuing things, and you will likely feel like chomping at the bit for something in your life, keep in mind that things will start to fill in for you, fill in the blanks. The energy may feel more supportive towards the end of October and going into November. So that can actually feel really good. This is a really great time at the time of this new moon to do something that is connected to prosperity. Like, I don't really like the word ritual. I don't know. It sounds kind of, I don't know, to me. But I like the idea of an exercise, a meditation, visualization, whatever you want to call it, because what we have are trines from the sun, the moon, Mercury, and Mars to Jupiter. Jupiter's at 22 Aquarius, and these planets, now these are kind of wide orbs, for the most part, it looks like, but still, let's see, Mercury, except for Mercury. And actually, to tell you the truth, I like Mercury the best out of all of these, because Mercury is about the power of Mercury trine Jupiter is the power of positive thought. And with the retrograde happening here, it's a great time to reflect on what has, manifestation brought you or hasn't brought you. And if you feel like you have been stuck, and sometimes, it's kind of in and out. And that's another reason that I'm looking forward to these planets going direct, because I think it can affect the area of business and, your personal finances. And even if you have enough money to pay the bills, you may still feel this sense of um, just stuck quality. And so this is a great time to generate that law of attraction, good vibes. Law of attraction, traction. How's that? I like that. And it's interesting too, because there are even trines to Saturn now. Of course, Jupiter and Saturn are in the same sign, so it's not really shocking, but I just looking at it and thinking about it, it's really nice because on this particular date, let's see what degree Saturn is at. It's at 6 degrees. And it's funny because I said it, six is a number associated with Venus. So I like it in terms of manifestation. And so the sun and the moon and Mars are all trining Saturn, and they're actually closer in degrees than they are to Jupiter. But it's just it's a nice thing because it makes you realistic about the goals that you're trying to envision for yourself. Remember that the new moon is about planting seeds. And what you can do is that the Mercury retrograde is going to be ending less than 2 weeks later. And so the seeds that you plant, that you're waiting for that harvest, by really engaging now, you put it all into motion. I'm not saying some big launch necessarily, because that might not be indicated, but at the very least, some kind of ability to envision for yourself. Another thing that's happening, there's lots of trines here and conjunctions. And I'll talk about the oppositions to Chiron, but I just wanted to mention another trine is that Mars is making a trine to Jupiter as well as a trine to Saturn. And Saturn is making a trine to the North Node. So there can be this feeling that this could only happen at this time in your life, whatever this is. And and also a trine between Venus and Neptune. So definitely love can be in the air. And this might be somebody from your past. It really might. But the thing is that you have grown and they have grown. And this, to me, when Saturn is positively aspected by the sun and moon like that, to me it shows that kind of emotional maturity and also the positivity towards trying to reach your goals. Now, what I also wanted to mention is that Mercury is forming a square with Pluto, as well as there are oppositions from the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Mars to Chiron. And how I see this in terms of the collective is that there's a lot of projection going on. And maybe these kinds of things have been happening all along, because I certainly feel like this is not anything new. It seems like a lot of people are reading into things and putting their negative feelings onto external people, places, and things. And this comes from trauma and emotional wounds being reopened and needing some way to discharge that kind of negative emotion. And so how that tends to happen is having the perfect person or situation, whatever you want to call it, organization that you can kind of look to as the villain, the enemy, the reason why the person is in pain. So it's like kind of the blame game. And there's like a Piscean quality to Chiron. So when people blame, even if they have a good case to blame things on people, places, and things, it still is very disempowering, because it just doesn't, it gives away your power when you blame. You may feel justified because you may feel like you're just telling the truth about someone or something. But the more that we can accept the situations that arise, and in order to kind of remedy the situation, we're looking for solutions, then we are proactive. And this is actually, I could say this is a good time to be proactive, and it certainly can be. But I think it can be. I'm not going to say something negative about it, because it is an air, and air is objective, especially in Libra, is an objective sign. And so, and is balanced. When it is balanced, it is very fair-minded. And so if you are dealing with a particular situation, you're more likely to be able to reframe it. But what I'm saying is that even the world, if you want to call it the matrix, or those who are trying to hold you, if you feel that there are people who are trying to hold you back, whether it's in your personal life or if you say in the wider scheme of things, not taking the bait, not sinking into a feeling of victimhood is key, because there might be attempts to try that, and we have to transcend that. But there's a lot of positive energy with those trines to Jupiter, love. I think that is a great way to or a great focus at this time, is the good in life, the abundance, the bigger picture, if you will. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that you resonated with this. Obviously, this is, one date and time, and we shall see what happens. But all the best to you. Take care. Bye.